Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'll be answering some of your questions here in this Q&A video, and I'm out here in my future Etsy shop space, and I really had set a goal to be out here, moved out here by now, but it hasn't happened. Hopefully here in the next week or two. The space I'm sitting in right now is probably about where the desk will be, so I thought I may as well pretend and see how it is. So let's get right to the questions. The first video is the home tour, and the first question is Monica asking. She says, I'm new to your channel, so glad I discovered it. A beautiful home. What are the green lights in your kitchen? I've been wanting to do something similar to that and color. I get a lot of questions about those lights. They are from Lowe's, and when we bought them, they were like a brushed silver. I painted them green. Unfortunately, I don't have a formula or a paint name for that paint. I know the day I got that paint, I had this certain color green in mind, and I walked into the hardware and I had one of the girls help me to achieve that color, and it never really got a name. I'm pretty sure we kind of went with, I think grass green was the green color that we kind of started out with, but then we ended up adding some more colors to it to get just the right color. It is a beautiful color of green, and it's kind of hard to find for some reason. So I guess that's the best I can do to answer your question. Sorry, and I'm not even sure does Lowe's still have those lights. It's been a couple of years. The next question here is, how do you keep your white drapes, cushion covers, etc. so white? Trust me, they're not always the whitest. I do wash them, every now and then, of course, but I don't have little children. I think that really makes a big difference. I mean, we do take food into the living room, but I guess everyone's pretty careful and good about it. But now and then, I find some stains, and then I'll just throw it in the washer, and it's not that big a deal. Danielle asked, do you keep your swing up all winter? I'm wondering how the rope is holding up. Yes, I do keep the swing out, and so far the rope is still in good shape. Now the swing is underneath the roof, so it really doesn't get direct rain or snow. Sometimes if it's windy, it'll get some moisture, but so far so good. Diane asks, what's keeping the outside stuff, especially the tree, from blowing away in the winter? The front porch is in the right spot at our home. Well, first of all, we live in the hills and in the woods, so we don't often just get a lot of wind. Now and then, if it is windy, it often doesn't really hit the front porch. We'll get some on the back deck, things will start blowing around, but I guess that's a blessing, because I'm not sure what I would do if I'd need to just fasten everything down. But I do have the one tree on the right side of the swing. If it gets really windy, it'll blow over, but I just set it back up and it's okay. Tammy Harden says, the fir tree for the bedroom, where did you get it from? I got it from Balsam Hill. I think that's the name of the company, and I'll link it down below in case they may have some good sales going on right now on Christmas trees. But it was a little bit pricey, pricier than I'd normally maybe spend for a tree, but it was that look that I wanted, and it's a tree that I can use, in the years to come. The next questions here are from the gift ideas video. Rosa says, I wanted to know if you had a video on how to do the chalk wall that your niece writes on. I've never done that, but I would love to use it in my Sunday school class. That would be a good idea. But no, I don't have a video. I actually did that before I had a channel, but it's very simple. I just went to either Walmart or your local hardware, and I bought the chalkboard paint that comes in a can. Now, if I do small projects where I just spray like a picture frame to use as a chalkboard, I will use the spray paint. But in this case, I had a large area and I didn't want to use spray paint in my house, so I just used the one in the can, where I actually used a roller and rolled it on. Very simple, and it's held out nicely too over the years. And my niece really comes in handy to write my messages on there for me. I often don't take the time, and I don't have that natural skill of just freehand, writing something and it looks pretty. Renee asks, where did you find the black wrapping paper and the striped ribbon? The paper comes from Walmart, and the ribbon is from a couple of years ago, and I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. Anna Power asks, curious why you poke holes in the bread dough. I get a lot of questions about that, and I think I've answered it before in a Q&A, but it is to release any air bubbles that may be trapped inside that dough. That way, once you bake your bread, you don't get any weird, growths coming out the side. Patty Paints at Hickory House says, I've noticed in your last several videos that we only see pebbles. Did something happen to Twinkle? No, he is alive and well. Thank you for your concern. He did come in this morning though, and I could tell he was in another fight of some kind. Every now and then he'll come in and have bloody ears or be walking on 3 legs, and I'm not even sure what he is in contact with, but our cats are free to go in and out as they please, and he for sure loves the outside, which I think is awesome, but I just wish he wouldn't get into those fights. I'm not even sure what he's fighting, but I'll definitely have to keep an eye on him, make sure it's nothing, too serious, but if it's like the other times, he'll be okay in a day or 2. Deborah says, I would love to try and make that jam. What size containers did you use, and where can I buy them? I think those little jars that I used for that jam were actually a wedding gift, so I'm not even sure where they were, bought, but I would say, Walmart would have that size. It would be like a half pint or a cup size, and in this case I had used the, wide mouth opening. I'll see if I can find any on Amazon, and I'll link it down below if I do. The next set of questions here are from the washstand video. Marie says, I'm curious, what grit sandpaper did you use? I often use fine grit. I'm pretty sure that's what I used for that project. I just find that usually does the job. Now, I didn't want to use a coarse sandpaper there in my kitchen because it just creates more of a mess than even the fine does. But the only time I use the coarse is if I really want to get down to a bare wood, get rid of a certain finish, and that usually would be on the outside. Melissa Cox says, how is your booth doing? It's doing great. I've had so much fun with it. In fact, I'm not sure why I didn't do it before. I noticed that it really slowed down here, before Christmas and over Christmas and into the winter here. They say that's normal for an antique mall to kind of slow down, but it's actually kind of nice to build up some more things. And although I still have a shop full of things behind me here to put up there eventually. Joe Mama Blue says, where did you get your boots? I'm trying to think what I was wearing in that video. I guess I'll have to look. I usually can't stand to watch my own videos, guys. After I film them and edit them, I never ever watch them again. So I can't even stand to hear my voice here, but still trying to see what kind of boots I was wearing. I'm thinking it was probably, oh, now I see here. Yeah, I got those at Walmart last year. I think you're talking about the ones with the fur on the top. They're easy to slip into, and they're comfortable, and they weren't expensive, so I, of course, like them. So Monica is asking, if a piece has the Annie Sloan wax, does it need to be stripped or sanded off before painting or staining? I just wondered about that on all the chalk paint and wax furniture the world is redoing. What if it is years down the road and you want to redo it? How would you be able to tell if it had wax versus polyurethane? I feel like any piece of furniture can always be stripped down to bare wood, no matter what is on there. I'm pretty sure I've dealt with tougher things than Annie Sloan wax. It's just if you want to take the time to actually, strip it down to bare wood. Q&A film. John just popped in here. He had actually gone to buy a table saw at Lowe's. Kind of excited about it. Our other one gave out on us probably about 6 months ago or so. So we've been without, and with our many projects we have going on around here, it's definitely necessary for us to have one. In fact, in order to finish our Etsy shop out here, this will really come in handy to cut the shiplap. So back to the Q&A. I've already redone pieces that had the Annie Sloan wax on them, and it's not really that hard to just, sand down. Not necessarily just sanding the finish off, but just dulling it enough to hold that, next coat of paint. Maybe that's not the proper way to do it, but it works. Linda says, I do have a question about the paint. Since it is 3 years old, was there a lot of settlement at the bottom of the can? Did you have to use anything other than a paint stirrer to mix it back up? Nope, I just stirred it and everything was nice and smooth. Now there might have been kind of a settlement on the bottom, but just mixing it up, I was able to get it nice and smooth again, which is always good. I love to find paint in my paint cupboard and be able to use it. Now sometimes I'll open a can and it's just one big chunk of dried out paint in there, so of course I'll have to throw it out, but usually I can use it even if it's years old. Cindy says, I guess it's not a question here, but you should not drive and video at the same time. Terrible example to others. I would have to agree with you there. I almost always put my camera on the dash while filming and driving, but I know when I took that video clip at the antique mall, I took a little snip of being on the road and then driving up through the alley there by the antique mall, and I was not looking through the viewfinder. I basically just aimed my camera and just hope for the best. And as you could see, it definitely was not in focus. For the most part, there wasn't any traffic around, but yeah, don't try that. It's probably not the best idea, especially on a busy road somewhere. I would definitely not want to try that. The next questions are from the food video. Pearls and Peonies says, would your sister be interested in joining you for a garden-related Q&A? It would be neat to see you together on camera. I will mention it to her, but I'm pretty sure I know what the answer would be, and I totally get it. I was not comfortable and still am not at times to be in front of the camera, talking. I think she would have a lot to give. I feel I've told her already she should, have a channel or even a blog or something just to share her many projects and her knowledge when it comes to gardening and other things too. I think at times she would consider almost, but it's probably at this point just not quite her thing, but who knows, maybe I'll get her convinced one day. Sugar and Salt says, is there a specific reason you place the cookies out in the sunlight? No, definitely not. I think the reason we put them out on the porch was we ran out of room in my sister's kitchen, and then we had some coated things, like chocolate covered things that we wanted to cool quickly, and it was cold outside, so we just set them out there to cool. Carol says, where did you get your cheese grater shredder? I'm pretty sure that's a Pampered Chef item from years ago. I don't know whether they still have it or not, but I use it a lot. The next question here is the counter space next to the fridge. How do you mainly use that area as it is so separate from the sink and the stove? That's a good question. That actually used to be a separate room, like a little pantry. And I think I've talked about this before. We tore out the walls, installed the beams, kind of opened up that area, and we love it like that. Before, the fridge area was actually over in the kind of almost in the dining area there where the stove is at. There used to be the stove and then a little counter and then the fridge. So everything was kind of in a row there. So I definitely like this so much better. But sometimes I wish there was a small sink in that area, because I think I'd probably put the coffee maker over on that counter and some other things. But we actually do use it a lot since there's a microwave in that space too. Grab something out of the fridge and, put it in the microwave. The next questions are from the Trash to Treasure video. Cookie Engineering says, just curious, do you seal the painted items? If so, what do you use? I'm trying to think what I painted in that video. I don't think I sealed anything. So it looks like I painted that bread box and then that hall tree. The lamp, no, I didn't seal any of those items. Now often if I use spray paint, that is already an oil-based product, so there's no need to seal that. At times, of course you've seen me use the Annie Sloan clear wax. That's a really good sealer. And then also the polyacrylic, it's a Minwax brand top coat. Love that stuff. I use that sometimes too. It kind of depends on if I redo something that I feel like it gets a lot of wear and tear. I'll put a sealer on there just to protect the paint. Kathy Thompson says, could you please tell me what kind of desktop computer you have? Sure, it's an HP Pavilion. I think it's maybe 4-in-1 or all-in-one, maybe all-in-one. I love that computer. It's not this one that you're seeing, it's the one in our Etsy space downstairs. If that one were to give out, I would definitely get one exactly like that. It is a little more costly than some of your other HP. I'm thinking maybe $1,500, but it has held out well over the years. I'm thinking it's going on its maybe third or fourth. And again, yeah, it's so handy. You don't have that big bulky computer that you set underneath your desk. This is an all-in-one. The actual computer is in the screen. Just a very nice computer. Joan Brown says, what did you do with the glasses and the cups you bought? So far I just have them in storage. I definitely will hang on to them because I have some future ideas for them, and I'm sure you guys will see once I put them to use. Linda Daly says, I was wondering if you could use the wax to refurbish old click flooring. Would it be too slippery? I'm almost thinking it would be too slippery. I've never tried it on floors, but just from what I've used it on furniture, it just gives it that nice, smooth, hard finish, not shiny. So I would probably just test it on a small area, but again, I'm thinking maybe too slippery. I think what I'd use on flooring would be the polyacrylic by Minwax, which I had just talked about that, but love that product and have used it already on floors. Jill says, what are you going to do with the basement when you get things moved? I can't wait to have my basement back. Basements are just such a good place to just store things, and I have plans to use that back room, what we call the Etsy room. It's where MB, my niece, does all of the packaging. I have plans to kind of turn that into a room that I can just go in, and maybe one shelf has all my vases for flowers, and another shelf some other seasonal decor, things that I switch around all the time. And I also am planning on doing some more canning in the future. It's something I've really gotten away from. As you know, I grew up Amish, and our life consisted of canning during the summertime especially, and some during the winter too. And it was always so nice to just go into that, what we called the can room downstairs, where all our canned goods were. Just grab something for lunch, and it's so nice to have that in stock. And I think I may get more into that in the future, and I am curious if you guys would want to see some videos like that or not. I just thought maybe I'd get some feedback on that. I don't want to bore you with canning videos if that's not what you want to see. And I'm pretty sure either way I'll end up doing some canning, but I thought that what we call the Etsy room would be a good place to store some of my canned goods. And as far as the front part of the basement where the office space is, I think I'm just going to keep that like an office. I know the desk is going to be moved out here, but I do have another desk that I redid here a couple years ago. It's sitting down in our other shop, and I thought maybe I'd move that into the basement space and use that for, I could sit there editing videos, or pay our bills, or whatever office work that I have. Vicki Virginia says, I guess this isn't a question here, this is just, I had to smile when I read this. Her children would help her put up the Christmas tree, and they would say, we must produce the spruce. And then when they took it down, they would say, we must reduce the spruce. I thought that was pretty funny. Amy Stallings says, I love how you stop what you're doing to let Kitty out. They run our lives, don't they? Yes, they do. We have some spoiled kitties, and I love them. I wouldn't want to treat them otherwise. So that is all the questions I have for this month's Q&A. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I'm trying to think if there's anything I wanted to talk about before ending it here. Oh yeah, I did want to mention, some of you still have not gotten your Etsy orders here that were ordered, a couple weeks before Christmas. And I tell you, if every holiday season would be like this last one was, shipping wise, I probably would not have an Etsy shop. It's so frustrating for me to promise people that they get their orders in time for Christmas, and then it doesn't happen. And I'm not blaming the post office. I know they have their hands full. I feel really bad for what they're going through, but it's just so hard to track packages and see they're just sitting somewhere and not moving. So I'm so sorry about that. I know for a lot of you I'm messaging back and forth through Etsy about it, but guess we'll just need to stay patient. I actually had started refunding some people. I thought, well, the order is just lost, and then they received it. So I think I need to stop doing that and just be more patient and see what'll happen. But I did want to apologize to you guys for getting orders too late. Didn't get them in time for Christmas, and I just felt so bad about it, but there was really nothing I could do. I hope you're all having a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.